Have you ever started something, realized you couldn't do it perfectly, and then just didn't do it at all? Yeah, same. That's literally why this channel exists. Hey, welcome to Betterish, where we make self-improvement less painful. And today I want to talk about the one idea this entire channel is built on. The idea that Betterish is actually better than perfect. I know. It sounds like a motivational poster you'd find in a dentist's office. But stay with me, because I genuinely believe this changed my life, and I think it might change yours too. Here's the problem. Most of us grew up hearing some version of, if you're going to do something, do it right. And on paper, that sounds great. Do your best. Give it your all. But in practice, that phrase has a dark side. Because doing it right quietly becomes doing it perfectly. And doing it perfectly becomes a standard so impossibly high that you can never actually reach it. So instead of doing the thing at 70%, you do the thing at 0%, because 0 feels safer than almost. Think about it. How many times have you wanted to start working out, but because you couldn't commit to a full hour 5 days a week with the right shoes and the right playlist and the right pre-workout, you just didn't start? How many times have you wanted to write something or learn something or clean your apartment, but the gap between where you are and where you think you should be felt so massive that you just sat down and scrolled instead? That's not laziness. That's perfectionism wearing a disguise. It looks like procrastination, but underneath it's fear. Fear of doing something badly. Fear of being judged for trying and falling short. Fear that if people see your 70%, they'll think that's all you are. But here's the thing nobody tells you. 70% is still more than 0. A workout that lasts 10 minutes is still a workout. A journal entry that's 3 sentences is still a journal entry. A messy first draft is still a draft. The version of you that shows up imperfectly is going to get exponentially more results than the version of you that waits until conditions are perfect. Because conditions are never perfect. They just aren't. You will always be tired or busy or stressed or not in the mood, and if you wait for the stars to align, you'll be waiting forever. So let me give you 3 shifts that helped me actually internalize this. First, stop comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You see people posting their finished things, their polished workouts, their clean kitchens, their perfectly plated meals. You don't see the 47 attempts that came before. You don't see the mess. When you compare your rough draft to someone else's final cut, of course you feel inadequate. But that comparison is rigged. It's not fair to you. So stop playing a game where the rules are designed for you to lose. Second, redefine what counts as success. If your only acceptable outcome is 100 out of 100, you have built a system where failure is almost guaranteed. But if you decide that showing up at all is a win, that doing the thing for 5 minutes counts, that I tried is a legitimate outcome, suddenly the math changes. You start accumulating wins. And wins build momentum. Momentum builds identity, and identity is what actually drives long-term change. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, and your systems need to be built for a real, flawed, sometimes tired human being, not a robot.
Third, and this is the big one, learn to tolerate the discomfort of doing something badly. This is the actual skill. It's not about lowering your standards, it's about being okay with the gap between where you are and where you want to be and showing up anyway. The people who improve the fastest aren't the most talented. They're the ones who can sit with the cringe of being a beginner and keep going. They're the ones who can produce something mediocre and say, yeah, that was mediocre and I'm going to do it again tomorrow and maybe it'll be slightly less mediocre. That's the whole game, tolerating mediocrity on the path to something better. Now, I know someone out there is thinking, but if I accept 70%, won't I just stay at 70% forever? No. Here's why. Because 70% today becomes 72% next week, and 72 becomes 75. And before you know it, you've improved more than the person who's still waiting on the sidelines for the perfect moment to start. Progress compounds, but only if you're actually in the game. You can't compound zero. Zero stays zero. Betterish keeps moving. And honestly, there's a peace that comes with this. When you stop demanding perfection from yourself, you actually enjoy things more. You try more things. You take more risks. You become someone who does things instead of someone who intends to do things. And that identity shift from intender to doer is worth more than any perfectly executed plan. Here's your one thing challenge for today. Pick one thing you've been putting off because you couldn't do it perfectly. Not the biggest thing, something small, a text you've been meaning to send, a stretch you've been meaning to do, a page you've been meaning to read, and do it at 70%. Deliberately badly. Give yourself permission to half-ass it, and then notice something. Notice that the world didn't end. Notice that you feel slightly better than you did before. Notice that doing the thing badly felt infinitely better than not doing it at all, because it does every single time. That's the whole philosophy of this channel in one sentence. Betterish is still better than yesterday. Not better than the person next to you, just better than the version of you that didn't try. And that's enough. That's always enough. Subscribe if you're trying to be a little betterish. See you next time.